Okay, so this is video number 2, writing with sensory details. You should have your worksheets from the first video with all of your sensory details for your particular objects. Now we're going to write about those objects, because after all, what's the point of writing down all those details and then just leaving them? We need to find out, learn, practice getting those details into writing so it sounds good. So, okay, we go back to my sensory details. Remember, this is my favorite food. Don't know what it is yet. Okay, but we'll give you those details. We know on our C, our look, it's brown, square, and small. We know that on the here, it's silent. Okay, we know on touch, it's soft, smooth, and squishy. And on taste, it's sweet and savory, and the smell is strong. Okay, so those are the details I'm going to use in my writing to tell you about my favorite food. So, first thing we need when we're doing our writing, of course, is our topic sentence, which is the main idea of the paragraph. Now remember, I haven't told you yet what that favorite food is. I'm keeping a little bit of a secret. So I'm not going to put the name of the food item in my topic sentence. However, I still have to have a topic sentence. Okay? So when I think about this, I think, well, I need to know what the paragraph is about. Well, we know it's my favorite food, something I like a bunch. And we also know that, you know, it's great, it's wonderful. I wouldn't think it's my favorite food if it was something gross. I mean, you know, I don't write about Brussels sprouts as my favorite food. So, okay, let's find out what we're going to do with that topic sentence. Okay, this is the one that I wrote. It says, I love many different foods, but one food is much better than all of the rest. Okay, for that one, notice I put the word food in there. I said I love foods, but one is better. So I'm implying that this is a favorite, that this is something great and wonderful. Okay? And so I've given you the topic. You already know I'm going to write about this food. Even though you don't know what it is, you still know what I'm writing about. So, now we're going to add our detail sentences. Okay? We're going to go back to all those sensory details that we had at the beginning. Okay? We're going to start writing them into a paragraph. But we don't want to smoosh them all together. We don't want to say, my food looks brown and square and small. Okay? It's not much of a sentence. It sounds boring even when I say it. Okay? So we want to take our details and we want to add them in slowly. And part of the way we do that is by thinking, well, what do we really see? I mean, if I'm looking at a food, do I just see the food? What about the plate it's on? What about the room it's in? What about the fact that I'm sitting there eating it? Okay? We need to include all of that when we're describing something. Sensory detail, our senses don't shut things out. They include everything. When you're looking at the room, you see everything. You're hearing things. You're smelling things. Okay? Especially if you're down in the cafeteria. So we need to make sure that we're including all those details so we can see the big picture. Even though we're really just talking about that one thing, we want the context of that thing. We want to know what's around it, what it's part of. Okay, so here's my first sentence. Okay, it says, I walked into the kitchen and a strong scent smacked me right in the nose. Okay, you can see my sensory detail, strong scent. Okay, notice I only use one though. Again, we don't want to smash all of our details into one sentence. Okay. Now, we can use one or two details in a sentence, but if we use two details, I really don't want to put two of the same kind together. Like, I wouldn't say the small brown item on the table, because small and brown are both look. We want to create that sensory description. If we narrow it to just look, then we're not getting the full sensory description. So when we're adding one or two details in a sentence, we want to make sure that they're from different senses. For example, I can rewrite this sentence to say, I walked into the kitchen and a strong scent smacked me right in the nose as I looked at the square treat in the middle of the table. You can see I've got strong sense of smell, and square, which is the look. Okay? So I'm adding a little bit of both in there. Okay? So that's my first sentence. Got 2 of my details in there already. I'm ready to keep going. Okay? So I'm going to keep adding my details a little at a time. I'll show you what mine ended up looking like. Okay? Here's my details, and I'll walk through them with you so you can see what I did. Okay? We've already got that first one. I walked into the kitchen and a strong scent smacked me right in the nose as I looked at the square treat in the middle of the table. Now here's my next sentence. I grabbed the smooth brown candy from the plate. Smooth as touch, brown as look. 2 different sentences, only 2 detail words in that sentence. Now I stop, I got a period, finish that thought. Okay, now I keep going. The small piece squished between my fingers. Okay, we've got small, again that's what it might look, but notice I used, instead of just saying the small squishy piece, I said the small piece squished. I'm giving it some action, some life. And I put my fingers in there. I'm doing something with it. You know, you might have a chair, wind, cupcake, whatever you're writing about. I've used one of those examples from the last video. You want to interact with it. It's not just sitting there by itself in a lonely little room with no purpose. So interacting with it, having it squished between my fingers, really gives you a sense of what that thing is outside of, oh, it's just something sitting on the table. Okay? Here's my next one. It didn't make a sound as it softly touched my lips. Remember, my here word was silent. But instead of saying it was silent, I just said it didn't make a sound. Saying the same thing, but with slightly different words. It's totally okay to switch your words up a little bit to make it make sense in your writing. Okay? You can even change words completely. Maybe I decided that it was gonna snap and crackle and pop, and I didn't have that written in the first one. It's okay to change it up a little bit to make it fit what you're writing. Okay, my other word, as it softly touched my lips. Remember I said the item was soft. So again, I've added it in, but also with the action, softly touching. Okay, the next one. However, the savory flavor exploded on my tongue. There's the word savory, and you can see there's only 1 in that sentence. It's okay to just use 1. You don't have to use 2 in every single sentence. Okay, 1 or 2 is fine. Just explaining it, describing it, interacting with it. Okay, last one. It was the sweetest thing I have ever tasted. Again, we got that last word, sweet. Okay, I had it written sweetness at first, but that didn't quite make sense, so I changed it to the sweetest. But you get the idea that we're adding a little time. Again, that was just 1 detail, but all of my details are in there. All the ones I had written down are all in there. I didn't stop writing till I had all my details in there. Okay, that's important because sometimes we think, oh, I've gotten to the end and I've only used 1 or 2 of my detail words instead of all of them. And so you really don't have that description that you want. So you need to keep adding till you get all your details. All right? So, have you guessed my food yet? Okay? I haven't told you, because you see there's one more thing we have to do. And that is, we've got to wrap up our paragraph. We've got to end it. And in this particular paragraph, I got to let people know what I'm talking about. Because at the beginning, I just said this was a wonderful food. So I can wrap it up by telling them what that wonderful food is. So we are going to write a conclusion sentence. Okay? I could say, my food is, but again, after all this wonderful, it's the sweetest thing I ever tasted, do I really want to just say, oh, by the way, my food is? No. We want to explain it, make it sound interesting and wonderful, just like we did at the beginning. If I said it's favorite and wonderful at the beginning, I need to say it's favorite and wonderful at the end. Just like if I was writing about the chair, and it was old and tired and creaky, well, then I need my last sentence to say something about old and tired. If it's that chair that's been sitting on my grandma's porch for my whole entire life, then I need to say something about that chair on my grandma's porch for my whole entire life. Something related to it that tells me that my introduction and my conclusion connect to each other. So this is the way I did mine. Okay? I put, there is nothing in the world, okay, that's the favorite thing part. There's nothing in the world like my mom's homemade fudge. There's my item. Okay? Did I take anybody by surprise? Hopefully some of you guessed it. But you can see that I wanted to make that a special sentence, not just a, oh, by the way, my favorite food is fudge. I said my favorite, there's nothing in the world like my mom's homemade fudge. Make it interesting. Make it sound like you really care about what you're writing about. Even if you're writing about the chair, the chair, and it's the dumbest chair ever because it's got a broken leg and you can't sit on it because it falls over every time and it cracks and it creaks and it rounds. You can write about how terrible something is. That's okay, but make it sound like you really want to write about it. Tell me how terrible, wonderful it is, sweet, beautiful, vibrant, whatever. But make it sound like it's something you really want to write about. So, oops, too far. Okay, so your turn. What you need to do is pick one thing from your worksheet. You're not doing all of them, just one. But pick one thing from your worksheet. Write a paragraph about that one thing. Write a topic sentence, include your details, write a conclusion sentence. You can even write it like I did and keep it kind of a secret till the end. And then maybe people have to try to guess what kind of thing you were writing about. Okay? But topic sentence, write all your details, then your conclusion sentence. Alright? Okay, it's your turn. Have fun.